welcome to episode 5 of the Scenic route. I am at home, my beautiful new place. I'm going to show you guys my morning routine, so my everyday kind of skincare and makeup. That's, you know, nothing over the top fancy for a photo shoot or anything like that, but my everyday, how I do my makeup in the morning, my vitamins, supplements, all those things that go down in the morning, making my protein pancake, all that good stuff that gets me set up to have an awesome day. So obviously right now I don't have any makeup on. I am going to start off with my Studio Fix foundation. I've used this MAC Studio Fix for years and years, and people always ask me like what foundation I use to make it stay on my face. I do think this foundation is amazing at staying put, but I also use a powder which I'll get to next, which really helps. But what I do have on my face right now is just a primer, so a MAC primer. So actually I started using one of these little doofers to do my foundation. I never actually used to until I was in my 20s. I used to, oh, wasn't supposed to put it there. Until I was in my 20s, I used to actually just use my hands, which apparently doesn't give you as even coverage, but I started using one of these, and I'm no like expert at makeup at all, but you know, if I have a photo shoot or, you know, like a really important video shoot that has to be like a commercial kind of standard, I would often, you know, have my makeup done, you know, mostly for photo shoots I do. I'm okay at doing some makeup because I grew up dancing so much. I was always in like ballet recitals, and you know, I used to do operatic performances where I was singing and dancing on stage, and cheerleading, all those kinds of things where I did have to have makeup on, but it wasn't anything kind of, you know, like fancy. So I kind of know how to do some basic stuff, or like stuff that I used to have to wear on stage when I was dancing a lot, but I'm definitely not an expert. Eyeshadow is like the one thing that I can't do, so if I'm in need of smoky eyes, I need help. Although, what I do want to do is learn how to do it. So if you guys know of a really good tutorial online how to do smoky eyes without making yourself look like a mess, tell me, what is this video? I need it. So foundation finished. I don't usually use a concealer. I actually haven't used a concealer for years. I used to when I was a teenager. What I usually do is I kind of put my foundation on, and then I just use the small end of this to just do like under my eyes a little bit more, or you know, any like spots I have on my face. Then I use the Studio Fix powder. I've used this for a long time. I always put it on top of my foundation. It just, I mean, it's a powder that you can wear on your face by itself, and I often do, you know, if I'm not kind of like filming, or if my skin's really clear, or I don't have like dark circles under my eyes, which doesn't happen often. Sometimes I would just, you know, put the Studio Fix powder on my face on its own. I've always used one shade darker of the Studio Fix powder to the liquid, so I use NW25 foundation, and I've always got the NW30 of the powder. I think I found that out just by kind of trial and error. When I bought the exact same shade, it was like a little bit too light, and I like kind of just like a natural bronze look, not like a porcelain kind of look. So did a little bit of that Studio Fix powder and a little bit of bronzer all over. This is the matte bronze. So MAC has a bunch of different bronzers. I've used a lot of different ones. I quite like the matte. I don't really like a really shiny bronzer. I always prefer it to be matte, and I usually use this like smaller brush with the same product, just to do like a little bit of I don't know, what do they call this? Contouring? Is that what they call it? Told you I wasn't fancy. Just make it up as I go. So foundation, powder, bronze, my blush, which is, I'm like the blush queen. it's quite funny whenever I get my makeup done for the stage. When I first used to start using Candice, who iCandy.com, who does all of my makeup, she would never put enough blush on, and I used to always go back to my room and get up my MAC Peachy Keen and get to work on my cheeks. I don't know, I like quite a lot of blush. I think that's from growing up as a ballerina. You know, as a ballerina, it's like stage makeup's pretty simple, but it's always like quite prominent cheeks, and yeah, so I think that's why. This is a brow pencil. Like other foundations, I've tried other bronzers, other mascaras, but I always go back to MAC because I kind of like to get all my stuff like from the same place. It just makes it easy. And I've just kind of like experimented with, you know, finding the right shades. I actually ran out of my favorite brow pencil, and this is actually one that's slightly lighter than my favorite one. So I actually usually like to have my brows a bit darker and fuller, but I need to go buy another medium brown pencil as opposed to this one, which is a light brown. So what are we at now? A little bit of mascara. I like this Instacurl. It's, you can actually curl the brush. Yeah, it's pretty rad. Look at that. It's like a little caterpillar. It's kind of insane. Anyways, it's fancy. I usually get lash extensions, obviously on my top lashes. For some reason, this eye always like falls out first. I think I usually sleep on that side, and that's why. You know, a lot of people, if you're not kind of like training intensely or sweating a lot, you can probably, you know, get lash extensions and they stay good for a long time. Mine usually don't last that long, like a few weeks at the most, particularly when I'm on prep. If I'm, you know, like sweating it out on the Stairmaster, doing 2 sessions of cardio, if I'm getting ready for a show, you know, it's hard on them, but I never get them wet. So, I mean, you can see that this lash is a little bit not as full as the other one, but I like having lash extensions. It means that I kind of don't really need to wear mascara all the time. I will often put mascara on my bottom lashes and just like on the tips of the extensions. I know that they don't like you to use mascara on the extensions, and that probably makes them last a little less time as well. But anyways, lip liner. I actually had never used lip liner basically in my whole life, and I didn't even like wearing lipstick until my friend Chloe started doing my makeup. I can't talk while I do this. And she uses like this particular lip liner, and I just like fell in love with just the difference it makes by just putting a lip liner on. Like, it makes your face, it makes everything look a bit different, you know? So I would usually line them, and I actually need to sharpen that so I can be a bit more precise. But I usually line them. I don't put like a lot of like a thick coat of my whole lips. I usually line them, and most of the time I'll just put on a gloss, but I feel like it's just nice to like, I mean, you know, some girls have like fillers in their lips and they have these big voluptuous lips. I don't. These are just the ones I was born with. So I like using the pencil because it's just that you can give them a bit more shape and a bit more fullness, which without getting anything injected into them. See, if you're OCD, it's kind of hard sometimes to make it match. So that is pretty much me. That is my my sort of daily makeup routine. Sometimes I, you know, if I am going out, I'll add eyeshadow or eyeliner, sometimes both. But this is kind of my everyday, you know, everyday coverage that I use. I try not to wear a lot of makeup. I like to kind of wear minimal makeup, but my skin's not perfect. It's never perfect. It's actually really good at the moment for, well, compared to how it's been. Like when I was on prep for a lot of months, my skin was just, you could tell my skin was just not happy, but you know, my whole body was kind of run down and tired, so it makes sense. But my skin's cleared up a lot more now, which is great. I actually will show you guys the products that I use. I use a skincare range. It's actually from New Zealand, which is ridiculous because I buy it here at Whole Foods and it's so expensive, like 3 times the price of what I pay for it in New Zealand, which seems ludicrous, but you know, it's such good products that it's worth it to me. And it's all natural, and my skin's super sensitive, so if I use anything that's got like perfumes in it or anything like that, that can like irritate my skin and make it break out. I also like to know that I'm not like putting a whole lot of crap into my body by, you know, because our skin absorbs everything that we use. So Trilogy is the skincare products I use. The Trilogy cream cleanser is amazing. I'll make sure I show you guys that on this video. And also the Trilogy rose hip oil. They're like my 2 most important products. I use the cleanser morning and night. It's super gentle. I like cream cleansers as opposed to foaming. I hate foaming. I feel like you can't like wash them off properly. It's annoying. But cream cleanser, and then I put the rose hip oil on my face at night. These are my 2 most essential Trilogy products. Actually, all of their products are amazing. These are the ones that I literally cannot live without. And no, I'm not sponsored by them, but I am a little bit patriotic because these are from New Zealand, and I'm like, America, you need this. But it's at Whole Foods. Obviously, Whole Foods has a lot of different, like, really natural products, and they're not one of the cheaper ones. They're kind of like middle of the range. You can get some stuff that's completely ridiculous in terms of skincare. I would say that these are very affordable for what they are. Like in the American market, it's very affordable. It's just that for me, when I was in New Zealand buying them, it was cheaper because they are made in New Zealand. But super natural. If you have like sensitive skin that gets oily easily or dry easily, I would definitely say try using rosehip oil. It's kind of it's the one thing that's kind of made my skin like clearer. My complexion generally makes my skin, you know, better and not break out. The time when my skin is going to break out is when I'm on prep, I'm doing a bunch of cardio, like I'm pushing my body really hard and sweating all the time, which is obviously, you know, that's natural if you've got makeup on your face and you're sweating and your pores are getting blocked. So anyway, Trilogy, the good stuff. So I am going to, first, coffee, obviously. I'm not gonna lie, I've actually already had one. But, you know, I can't put my makeup on without coffee because I can't do anything without coffee, realistically. So, what I usually do is buy cold brew coffee. I like this one. Sometimes I buy some of the Starbucks ones as well, but that's my favorite one to buy. There are some other brands that have nice cold brew. I like having it just in the fridge, so it's like literally we wake up and the first thing I'm saying is, hey, do you want coffee? Answer's always yes, because coffee is life. What I put in there is English toffee flavoured stevia. I have a lot of different flavours. I have English toffee, vanilla cream. I usually also get just a regular liquid stevia, which I actually kind of prefer the regular liquid stevia with no flavour in my coffee. I'm kind of a plain Jane with a Y. Jane with a Y. I'm kind of a plain Jane. America's like, I feel like when I moved to America I felt extra plain because America's so like, let's add vanilla caramel white chocolate macchiato or something. Like, they're very like extravagant. Just give me some coffee, a little bit of unsweetened almond milk, something to sweeten it up because I've got a sweet tooth, and we're good. So, coffee first. And I'm going to make my protein pancake. What I need to do is turn the oven on first. So the oven's heating up. This is the same protein pancake I've showed you guys before, although I was doing a DIY video and it's not so easy for you to see exactly what's going on. I do usually weigh the egg whites. Obviously when I'm making this, when I'm on prep, I'm weighing it out because I need to know that I'm getting, you know, not too much protein, not enough protein, but it's kind of just, it's almost just like a habit to weigh it out, because I'm used to having to, you know, weigh it out and make sure I'm eating the right amount, but it's more just for me to kind of make sure I get the consistency right, although you can almost not fail at this. So liquid egg whites, I'm not really loyal to any particular brand. I just make sure I always pick the 100% liquid egg whites. You can get a liquid egg product that has some yolk in it as well, like it's not purely whites, which so that's what I look for, is the liquid egg whites. There's of course nothing wrong with eating the yolks of an egg. The yolks do have fat in them. If you're wanting to have a lower fat diet, you don't want to eat 1 million eggs a day, because it's going to add up with the fat, but you know, a good amount of fat is healthy. The reason I usually buy liquid egg whites is obviously a lot easier, and when I'm on prep and I'm eating a low fat diet, I'm not adding fat a lot by having whole eggs, but I actually don't like eggs. Like I don't like the taste of eggs, and if I use the yolks, it really tastes like an egg. Whereas you know, the way I cook liquid egg whites is I always turn them into some sweet creation using some kind of deliciousness like this. So my fusion vanilla is obviously super good in a protein pancake. I use like roughly half a scoop, so you know, you don't need the whole scoop. When I'm making my man one, I'm using, you know, I'm making one with like 50 grams of protein, so I'm using a whole cup of egg whites and a whole scoop of protein. When I'm making it for me, I do not have those fuel requirements. I'm just slightly smaller, so you know, I'm not using a whole scoop of protein. And I'm also adding in some of the Snickerdoodle Oh My Spice. This one's almost empty because it's the best one, in my opinion, my humble opinion. I have birthday cake and just gonna do a juggling joke for you almost. I have birthday cake and Snickerdoodle. They're both great. There's actually apple pie as well in the cupboard. In fact, I've got something in my eye, which is not part of the plan with filming this episode, but you know, the show must go on. I have a lot of them. They are obviously not all ones that are going on my pancake, but everything spice, apple pie, which is obviously a sweet one, which I think would be great in a pancake with vanilla protein, and sweet and savory. There's also another about 5 up there, so many different flavors. Pizza, nacho cheese. I don't like cheese, but if you like cheese, get into that. So I've weighed it out. I literally have in here egg whites, some Oh My Spice, and some protein powder. If you think this looks like crap, you're right, it does. It looks average, and I think any time that I've made this pancake for people, they've been like, oh god, what's this next like diet food that Shen has created? Like expecting it to taste like garbage, but it's actually really good. Like, I mean, obviously I share a lot of these kind of like prep hacks or like prep friendly recipes because I know a lot of you guys that follow me are, you know, competitors or future competitors, or you know, have health and fitness goals where it's helpful for you to learn different ways that you can make stuff that still tastes good, so that you're not miserable eating chicken and broccoli every meal while achieving your goals. But you know, if I can make this for my 250 pound bodybuilding boyfriend who needs to eat a lot of food, obviously he can eat, you know, his macros are big, he can eat a lot of different things, but even he likes these, so it's a sign that, you know, if you can feed this to someone that doesn't need to have the low carbs or the low whatever, and they still enjoy it, I'd say you're onto a winner. So I've mixed it up. You're never going to get the consistency like completely beautiful. It's always going to look kind of gross, kind of like weird. I use this baby pan. I actually need to get a new one because I've just been thrashing this with pancakes, like 2 a day, sometimes 4 a day actually, if Errol and I are both having it 1 each in the morning and 1 each at night. So this has been used for a lot of pancakes, and the non-stick isn't as good as it was. So it really helps if you have a good non-stick pan. and I'm still actually learning how to get the temperature right on this new gas stove. Of course, I only moved in here, you know, a couple of weeks ago, so we don't have a whole lot of experience cooking on this particular range, and I find that gas is hotter than, you know, the electric stove. So I pour it in there, and I literally sit this lid over. You can use any lid as long as it completely covers it to help it cook. I don't have a lid for that baby pan. I'm using that big lid because I know it covers the entire thing, just like that. So that's going on a medium heat, and I'm going to leave that until it's almost cooked through, and then I'm going to put it into the oven. So I've been trying to kind of cook it on the slower side rather than having the element too high, because if I have it too high and get too adventurous, I tend to burn it, and it's not as good. So I actually got carried away finding clothes, and this is almost actually cooked completely through, so I could actually just eat it like this, and it kind of like puffed up. So keep an eye on it. Usually when it's almost cooked, I just chuck it in the oven. I kind of overdid that a little bit because I was, well, naturally busy in my wardrobe. So that's going to take just a couple of minutes in there. And I'm going to top it with some of these, some of my faves. And then I am going to mix up my Antivite. Antivite is a multivitamin. It's a very high quality performance vitamin. You can get it in both the powder, but you can also get it actually in capsules or tablets, more precisely. But yeah, I like it. It's nice to have in, you know, liquid form as a drink in the morning. It tastes delicious. That is orange flavour. Bit of that good stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I usually make it in a bigger glass than this, but all of the big glasses are in the dishwasher, so you know, you gotta work with what you got. So we're mixing up this thing. I'm a real like routines person, so when I have like a little morning routine, that kind of sets me up for the day. You know, if my morning's completely out of order from what I usually do, usually that kind of, I'm like, my brain's a bit like, who am I, what am I doing, where am I? So, you know, I usually have a pretty similar routine every morning. At the moment, I'm not doing cardio fasted in the morning all the time. Sometimes I am. Most of the time I'm not, to be honest. Most of the time I'm actually just enjoying that I can sleep in with my man a bit, get up, cruise, and not have to rush off to do cardio. Some mornings I have been doing cardio, but you know, most of the time at the moment I've just been doing it after my workout, because that's, you know, I'm not needing to do a lot of cardio, just wanting to make sure I do enough that I don't end up looking too cuddly. So this is all cooked. I did just kind of like slide a spatula underneath it to check that it was going to come out, just because the non-stick's not great on this pan, but you know, when this pan was new, it just literally slid on out of there, which is perfect. The reason that I do the whole process where I kind of like almost cook it and then put it in the oven to cook the top is because it's literally only egg whites and a bit of protein powder, and it's not, I never have wanted to risk trying to flip that over, because that could end in tears. You know, there's nothing wrong, nothing worse than you know, screwing up your breakfast. It's like when your oats boil over in the morning, you're like, oh my god, this is not going to be a good day. So, you know, it's super easy to make like this. A bit of butter spray. I remember when I first started coming to America from New Zealand and found this, and it was so good that I had to literally take supplies of it back to New Zealand with me every time I went. So 0 calorie butter spray, be careful with 0 calories, because 0 calories is complete nonsense. Of course, there are some calories in it. Essentially what this is very, very diluted butter, and it's so diluted that they can round it down to 0. But actually, it's interesting, in America they can round things down to 0 like that, but in New Zealand they can't do that. So, like, say for example, stevia. In America, stevia says it's 0 calories. In New Zealand, stevia says it's 0.4 calories, because they can't say 0 because of our food and drug regulations, or whatever they are, FDA. So just be careful, sometimes things will say 0 calories. You need to make sure that you understand kind of like the fine print. So this is 0 calories if you use 5 sprays. So, if I use 10 sprays on my pancake, I'm getting some calories. So just, if you're trying to achieve health and fitness goals that require you to be, in a calorie deficit, which generally speaking, that's the way to lose body fat, is to be in a calorie deficit. So doing more exercise and eating less calories, that's like super, 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 general. So don't take that as this is what Sheena said, because there are a lot of other things, hormones and making sure you're eating the right things for your body type. Everyone's different, but generally speaking, putting your calories down is going to mean you're going to lose body fat. So just be careful when you're buying things that are 0 calories. If you're having 6 meals a day and you're putting some 0 calorie dressing or butter spray or all of that on every single meal, just keep in mind that you're going to have calories by the end of that, because they're not literally 0. They do have some calories. I'm going to make this day happen. I'm going to go get shit done.